Hey guys, so I know a lot of you have been requesting how do I make my challah. So we decided that we will do a challah making video. And so what I got here, and you're gonna hear our kids, right? This is actually Shabbos morning, so it gets chaotic in our house. So what I start off with is, this is to make actually 4 like medium-sized challahs. And so for what I'm gonna be using is 2 cups of warm water, right? And then I used 2 packs of the Rapid Instant Yeast, and I just pour that in there, stir it up. And then now what I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to add a cup of sugar. Now some of you guys are probably like, that's a lot of sugar, but it's up to you what you want to use. You don't have to use sugar. I know some people like to use honey and alternative sugars if you want to. We just use sugar. This is like the only time that we have lots of sugar is on Shabbos. The only time. So you're gonna pour that into your yeast water mixture, and then you're also going to put 3/4 cup of canola oil into that same mixture. And this is how I do it. I know everybody has their own different ways of how they make their challah, which is so special. And then you're gonna just stir it up. And my yeast has been sitting for a second. I wanted to do that for the sake of filming so that I wouldn't have to wait so long, 10 more minutes for it to get foamy. So it's already in the process of doing that because you want to wait 10 minutes for that to like foam up, your yeast to sit. Okay, so I'm just making sure the sugar is stirred up in there, and so is the oil. So I'll let that sit for a second, and then what I'm going to do next is add the flour to my other bowl. Some people use food processors when it comes to making their challah. I like the old-fashioned way by making it by hand. So that's just my way. I like to actually knead my dough and do all of that. So what I'm going to be adding is, and usually, because once you got this down, guys, you don't really like need to measure. You kind of start knowing it, but I'm doing it for the sake of the video here, so hopefully it's right. But I'm doing about 7 cups of flour to make 4 medium-sized challahs for our size family. Okay. So it's about 7 cups of flour. I usually know how to eye my salt. I would say that you would use for that much flour. I use like half a teaspoon. About a half, a little, maybe over half, a little bit. And I'm actually, so for the sake of, I'm gonna switch my bowl, my glass bowl, because I want to show you guys a better view of when I'm kneading it. So I'm gonna use this bowl. And then to make it easier when I pour my yeast mixture into my flour, I just like to pour it back into a measuring cup. And we can pour this out of the way. Okay, so my yeast is looking pretty good. So I just need to grab one more thing. One second, I forgot. While my amazing husband is filming this, he's so great at it. Okay. So I like to pour a little bit at a time when it comes to the yeast mixture. So you just do a little bit. I can't tell you how much I do. I kind of just eye it and then start to stir it. I use one of these instead of a spoon so it won't like stick to the spoons. I find that these are just better. So this is my process of mixing it before I knead it by hand. Now I'm gonna pour just a little bit more. And the goal is to, get your dough to where it's not sticky anymore. So that's why you have to have that perfect balance. Sometimes I don't even use all of my yeast mixture. It just depends on how like the dough is forming together. But majority of it I do use. So just just want you guys to know that I do use most of it. And then if I end up having, if I notice that it's like too sticky or too wet, then I just add a little bit more flour. It's not a big deal. Just by how the mixture is looking like this, when it starts to look like that, that's when I start to kind of use my hands a little bit to see if I need to add, how much more liquid do I need to add to it? Do I need to add more flour to it? Is it too sticky? So I can already tell I'm gonna need more of the liquid. Just a little bit. Shout out to the challah mom. She is a pro. I just be watching her and I'm like, she has no measurement. She knows this thing in her sleep. Okay, let's see. So, see it? I'm slowly just putting a little bit more liquid. Once it gets to this point, you just want to add a tiny bit at a time. Like I said, you'll know because your dough will either be too sticky or too wet, and then you'll kind of know like, okay, I need to add a little bit more flour if it seems too sticky. Let's see. Yeah, you guys have baby powder? Wow.
That's a beach bee.
Don't open that, okay, Amanda?
I know. It's okay. I'm in the beach.
Okay. So I would say that I like the consistency of my challah. And so let me move.
Let's go.
Let's move this out the way. I'm gonna now bring my board over, add a little bit of flour to my board to start kneading my dough. This is the fun part. And then I literally start to just knead it for about 10 minutes by hand. And some people might be like, that's intense. My hands are gonna hurt. You guys can definitely take breaks in between, but I don't know, I just find it so like, I don't know if the word is like rewarding, but I love the fact of making challah by hand. I tried a food processor. And for me, it doesn't come out right for me when I do a food processor. This, I can feel the consistency that I want. I can feel the dough if I need to add more or something. So it's just my preference, but whatever's easier for you guys. So as you can see, it's getting, the goal is that you want it to have like this like smooth, shiny, okay. So slowly, you can see that the dough is transforming. Now getting more smooth looking, that's the goal. And a lot of people, they ask me like, I mean, you guys will see how when I roll out my 6 braided challah, they're like, why isn't there any cracks? Why does it look so smooth? I honestly think that I'll show you my process of what I do. I think it's a mixture of how I knead my dough also, and then it's also the way I roll out the 6 strands when it comes to braiding the challah as well. Alright, so that's pretty much it, where you're gonna do that for, like I said, 10 minutes. And then once you are done with kneading it, you're gonna put it into an oiled bowl, like lightly oiled bowl, and cover it with a cloth, a towel or a cloth. And I will show you guys what that looks like in a second. Okay, so that's how your dough should look after kneading it for 10 minutes. And so then what I'm gonna do next, let me move that out the way a little bit. In my glass bowl right here, I just like, I actually take the remaining, oh, we're not gonna use, never mind, let's edit that. I just take like a little, the cap full of, not a full cap full, but just a little bit of oil into the cap, and I rub a little bit in there, and then I use my hands and I just rub the oil all around, because you want it to be able to prevent the dough from sticking as it rises. So that's one reason why you're adding the oil. And you don't need a lot. And then what I do is I do face down first, kind of roll it into there so that my dough has the oil all over it. And then once that's done, take a cloth, boom, set it aside. And you are done with the first part of your challah, making your dough. So you guys are gonna cover your dough, and I let my dough rise for at least about good 2 hours. I like it to get really fluffy, big, and just let it sit. And then from there, that's when we're gonna actually start cutting the pieces for the challah to do the 6 braid for each of the 4 challahs. Okay guys, so after an hour, I meant to mention this, after an hour you wanna press your dough down. Like so. I already did it, so that's why it doesn't look like it's rised again, but I did that, and then I let it sit for another hour, right, for a max of 2 hours. And this is the finished product of what your dough is gonna look like. Okay, so for us guys, I'm gonna roll this out, and you can probably keep that first roll video I did. And I'm gonna make this challah. I'm gonna cut it into three sections, because I'm gonna have 3 different challah breads. All right. So just evenly 3 sections. So there's 1 of my challahs, 2, and then 3. And so same thing. So now what I'm about to do now is I'm getting ready to prep to do my 6 braided challah. And so now I'm rolling this to be able to cut into 6 pieces. And like I said guys, these are gonna be like smaller to medium challahs. They look so small at first after you braid them, but then I let it rise for a good amount of time, and they start rising to a really good size. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down the middle 5, 6. So you want 6 pieces, and I kind of take some from other pieces if I notice they're not evenly cut. This will be fast forward or cut out. Okay, so with your first piece, you want to make sure you're doing this on a clean surface. I don't put flour. I don't need to put flour on mine, but I'm just kind of pressing it down, and then I'm going to use a roller. And I think that's the secret, because people ask me, they're like, how are your strands so like smooth? I just roll them flat first. So I do this flat first, just into almost like a rectangular shape, and not too thin.
What is that?
This is, okay, so this has a funny title, but it's called Marry Me Chicken. The sauce is so good. It tastes like an Alfredo, but it's actually dairy free. It's made with coconut cream, sun-dried tomatoes, basil, nutritional yeast, and salt, pepper. There's garlic, minced garlic cut up, and then different pieces of chicken.
Gotcha.
Okay, so like I said, you don't want it to be too thin. Like it's like, You can see it's just like that. So what I do then, I turn to the side and then I roll it. And that's why my pieces are like, how does it look so smooth, your challah? I feel like that's the secret, is just rolling them out first flat and then rolling them into ropes of or whatever you want to call it. But they're like, you know, the challah ropes for the challah braid. So there's one. Let's see. And you just want to repeat it. So you're going to do the steps all the way until you're done with all 6. Then I'll show you guys the process of how I do a 6 breaded challah. Okay guys, so once you have your 6 strands, you want them to be pretty much even. If they're a little off, it's okay. But you just want to make sure that they are similar in length and in size. Sometimes I do have a little bit of thinner pieces than the other. That's okay. So this is the 6 strands. Now I'm just gonna take all of the pieces and I'm gonna attach them together on the top. So you'll see that I'm just connecting them. I could roll that a little bit more. Sometimes if they shrink down, you just roll it a little bit more. And I'm just pinching the top part together. Okay. So when you feel like you have them good together, perfect. So this is the braiding part. So from my angle, I think you guys can see, yeah, because it's from the top view. So I'm gonna take the left strand and I'm gonna put it over all of the other other strands. And then I'm gonna take the last piece on the right and I'm gonna put it over like that too. Then I'm gonna kind of move these over, and that first piece that you put over from the left side, you're gonna put it in the middle. And now I'm gonna take the second piece and this is gonna go over. And then I'm gonna take the piece that I put the second time from the right over into the middle. And so now this is gonna be a repeat. You're gonna go now from this strand over. This one's gonna go into the middle. Second strand, over. This piece in the middle. This piece, over. This one in the middle. Second piece, over. This one in the middle. You're taking the second piece over, this one into the middle. So you just want to repeat that. And then the good thing is that you guys now have this, you can kind of loop back in. That's what I did. I just kept rewinding a video of a woman that I was watching who did a 6 braided strand, and I was just rewinding it, you know, over and over and watching how she did it and repeated the process. And it became super easy. It's not hard at all. And then once you get to that, you just tuck them. I tuck it under. So see how cute and little? It's little. But this will actually end up being like a nice medium. This might be my smallest one. So it's probably be on the smaller side, and then my other 2 will probably be a medium. So that's how, and people say, oh, well, how does it look so smooth? It's probably because of when you roll it out and you flatten it, it ends up looking like that. Also, if you would like to see how I do this crumble, it's a crumble topping, and it's very, very simple. Just leave a comment, and I will, you know, do a short video if you guys are asking for how to do it. It's very, very simple.